with an interim head coach. And this season, the firings in the middle of the season for head coaches are crazy. So we have Taylor Jenkins get fired, and then out of nowhere, the news drops with 4 games left in the regular season, with 6 teams locked in with 2 games separating them with 4 games left. You fire Mike Malone, you file the general manager, and the owner says, guys, go out there and just have fun, and hopefully this will all motivate you. And he puts on his smug corporate conference, and then the Nuggets are kind of just sitting there with their fans shocked, where this guy has won a championship last year, and now only 2 of the last 6 NBA champions are still coaching today. Steve Kerr, Joe Mazzulla. Everyone else fired. Of the last 6 NBA champions, gone.
That's bizarre to me. Yeah, you're right, because Nick Nurse, we have Mike Malone,
Frank Vogel.
and Frank Vogel. That's insane. But what I don't understand about the Nuggets, like the Grizzlies, Taylor Jenkins had been there a while. There wasn't a lot of success. I don't agree with them firing him midseason, but Taylor Jenkins made more sense to me, even though I think he's a good coach. Mike Malone came out of nowhere. I remember the news dropped. I'm like, why are they firing Mike Malone again? Is this team not in title contention? I get that this team this season is extremely Joker reliant, and without him, they're a bottom 10 team statistically. But at the same time, like, this team can still very much contend, make the Western Conference Finals, potentially make the finals this year. Explain to me, as if I'm a moron, why would they fire Mike Malone exactly? Does it make any sense? Because I don't get it.
Yeah, so with Mike Malone getting fired, so he gets fired, and then a video surfaces of him 2 weeks ago in a press conference talking about players aren't watching film, they're not getting their minutes in here, and basically calling out his players for being lazy and slacking off. So it's like players aren't watching film. It's been a sloppier product. And then the Nuggets were also on a skid where they've lost a couple games in a row now, and a couple big games, and Joker really has to do anything. So you're also looking at the Nuggets sets now where every single play for Michael Porter runs through Jokic. Every play for Jamal Murray runs through Jokic. So every play for Aaron Gordon also runs for Jokic. It's like there's nothing set up off of the ball for Jokic, so you could point to that, but it's bizarre that you do it with 4 games left in the season. You have to at least give him one more playoff run, and he won a championship a year ago. And if you look at the San Antonio Spurs, can you tell me the time that the San Antonio Spurs won back-to-back championships? Like, please tell me when. When did they do that? They won 5 rings, but they never won back-to-back championships, I believe, for San Antonio.
No, they were always spread out, but I don't understand, like, even though, like, I understand there might be like a rift between him and his players, but firing them right before the playoffs, like, what message does that send to the team? What message does that send to the fans? Like, to me, the Nuggets for me go from a team that was in the conversation for the title ultimately, like title contenders, to like, there's something seriously wrong within that organization. They fired their GM shortly after too, so they're basically going to be retooling, rebooting, whatever they might end up doing, but this Nuggets team goes from like title contention to what's going on in Denver. I genuinely am baffled by this firing ultimately.
Yeah, no, it's definitely confusing. And like with Mike Malone, I think is a good coach. So it had to be something going on with him and the players. And like, I don't know enough to speculate. A lot of people jump to like, oh yeah, it's Michael Porter, obviously not watching film, but it's also probably Russell Westbrook here, not watching film. Maybe it's an issue with like Jamal Murray. Like, we can't speculate, and like not enough information has come out. It's just bizarre, and it really does take the Nuggets out of title contention. And they said the reason why they fired the GM and the coach was to give the team a spark. But how about this? You know what a better spark for your team would be? Spending your money wisely. So you want to talk about the 5th highest paid player on your team is averaging 3 points a game and 4 points for his career. The only players who make more than him are the big 4 on that team: Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr. And then you have this bum on your bench, eating up your salary cap, and he was the reason why you couldn't bring back Contavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown, who are two of the most important players on that championship run. And then they're the two biggest players that left this big hole because you don't have a bench and you can't shoot threes, which is the biggest problem with Denver, and is probably why they're not going to win a championship this year, because right now it's looking like Jokic might burn out during the regular season. Can he go on a LeBron James-esque run and carry this team to the finals? I'm not going to rule it out, but I'd give it like a 25% shot, where if Mike Malone was still there, maybe you give him a 40% shot. So like for me, you lose at like 15-20% odds of like going to there, and then suddenly also Jokic's odds of playing with the Lakers next year goes up.
Jokic's? Oh my God. Don't even say that. That's a tease. No, like for me, what I don't understand is you mentioned the statistic about how there's never been an assistant head coach that wins the NBA Finals. For me, I'm looking at the matchups like you have Steve Kerr that you'll have to face off against. You have Emi Udoka, you have JJ Redick, and Tyronn Lue. All of these head coaches are deserving of their acclaim. They deserve to be recognized as some of the better coaches in the league. And you're going to match up against them with a guy who maybe has never coached before. I forgot who they named as like the interim head coach, but I don't understand this from an
Jokic, that's
optics,
who.
pretty much. Yeah. They don't even tell me. Like, I'm trying to look up who they have their interim coach as, but Dave Adelman. God. Okay. So ultimately, they fire him, a head coach that won the title just 2 years ago. They made it to the semifinals last year and was pushed to a game 7 from the Timberwolves. One game away from making the conference finals after winning the title, and they would have faced Dallas. Who would have known what would have happened there? And you fire him the following season before the season's even over. Like, optic wise, it just makes no sense. And I guess we could say the same for Taylor Jenkins, but I think Mike Malone's a lot more severe in my mind, like firing him so early.
And it's the West right now is wide open, and Jamal Murray in the regular season and the playoffs is a different player. And maybe Jamal Murray is an older player than like his age would maybe be because of his injuries in the past, but like Jamal Murray is still one of the best playoff performers here. And then you have Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon. So it's like you have a shot to go out there and win an NBA championship, especially if you match up with the Thunder team where they swallow the whistle against SGA here. Maybe you don't have enough perimeter defense or shooting, but I give you a shot to go up against Houston and LA. You have a puncher's chance in every series, but without Mike Malone, no. Like, you're going to go up against Ime Udoka and Tyronn Lue. They're just going to tear right through that coach. And it's going to all be on Jokic. He's going to average a ton of points, and he's just not going to have enough help off the bench. And I don't know, he might just kind of burn out and get tired in the playoffs. Like, you can't go out there without your coach. And people responded with, well, Tyronn Lue was actually an interim head coach, but he was promoted in January and given the head coaching position full time because he was LeBron James's guy, and LeBron never wanted David Blatt.
Yeah. And plus, also, I think like Tyronn Lue has a lot more like NBA pedigree. He played in the league, he had a bunch of coaching experience. I believe he stopped playing basketball in 2004, and he had like 12 years of experience where he was coaching, whether it be an assistant role or in other places. Like, he had experience. The head coach that they have now for the Nuggets is Dave Adelman, who does have experience across the NBA. Like, he, is the assistant for the Magic. He's been with the Nuggets organization for a long time. But first-time head coach is a real thing. I think even JJ Redick, who's been super successful this year, maybe coach of the year potentially, I think he would even agree that there's an adjustment when it comes to being a head coach and what it demands. And rather than doing that in November and making those adjustments like JJ Redick's had to do over the last 82 games, he's going to have to do that against the best competition in the NBA and with head coaches that are smarter than him because they have more experience. I mean, Udoka, great head coach. Steve Kerr, champion. You get the idea. Like, he has to make all these adjustments as a first-time head coach in the playoffs, which I don't think is fair to Dave Adelman at all. As a guy who's going to basically come in, have 6 games to learn how to coach, and then be forced to go on a title run with a team that is just in complete dysfunction, it feels like, especially after the GM and the head coach is gone.
Yeah, no, the GM, like, I feel like you should have fired the GM, not the head coach, but like the fact that you do this right in the middle of the season, it just doesn't make sense. It was like when they fired Brandon Staley too. Like, you knew they had to fire Brandon Staley at some point, but like he didn't get to and win a Super Bowl like Mike Malone got to and won a championship. So like this doesn't really give me confidence right now in Denver and their chances in the playoffs. But I think ultimately, do you think this is a sign that maybe Denver might just be a one and done team similar to Milwaukee and not get back to the NBA finals, and Milwaukee might, but I don't think anyone is betting on them to.
Yeah, I don't have faith in the Bucks, but the Nuggets, it's a shame because I do think that they're going to ultimately take a step back. I don't think they're going to find a coach like Mike Malone that they can replace and plug in. Plus, we have Joker, who has had a lot. He's had a lot of touches this year. He is older than people remember. I believe Nikola Jokic is 31 at this point, which
No, he's
I'm not.
29
He's 29.
or
He's 30
30.
now. He just turned 30.
Yeah.
But either way, he's entering his 30s. He's touched the ball a lot. He's had a lot of wear and tear over the last 4 seasons. He's a 3-time MVP, about to be a 4-time MVP. And then also, like, looking at the rest of that team, like, Jamal Murray's a really nice player, but is he a solid number 2 for someone like Joker? Can we pair Joker with someone like a Luka Doncic? Maybe not quite to that same level, but can we get him like another superstar? Jamal Murray's a really nice player. Is he going to be the guy that gets him over the hump ultimately? We don't know. And then Michael Porter Jr. has been inconsistent. Their role players have gotten a lot worse. Russell Westbrook is not going to help them get to the promised land either, as he's been one of the most inefficient players maybe ever, but also especially since the post Kevin Durant era. So, like, I just feel like this team is ultimately deteriorating. And ultimately, if I'm Joker, a guy who really only needs one more ring to be in the GOAT conversation, as far as I'm concerned, at least for big men, he's got to look at another place, potentially, to team up with somebody and win one more ring. Because he really, like, one more ring with Joker, and he can go down as a top 5 player all time, potentially, at least top 10.
Yeah, for sure. No, him and Anthony Edwards will definitely pair up in Miami for sure.
I'm down for that. You think Joker would want to go to Miami, though?
No, I don't know where Joker would want to go because, like, I feel like Denver's a good fit for him because Denver has kind of that cowboy culture, at least horse wise, where you kind of do have that environment. So I feel like he would definitely fit there. If you're looking at a team that's a contender in the West that he could potentially go to and maybe they trade for him, I would say Houston would be the dark horse team that no one would think of, but you pair him with Ime Udoka and a team full of scrappy defenders with like Dylan Brooks. If you can keep, maybe you have to trade Alfred Sengun, but if you're trading for Jokic, that's worth it. If you can keep Amon Thomas here and Jaden Daniels
Yeah, the
or
Rockets.
Jalen Green.
Yeah, honestly, the Rockets have a lot of picks. They have a lot of really young players. If I'm a Nuggets
Yeah,
team, you're never going to get the right exact perfect package for Joker. But if ultimately he wants to move on, he doesn't want to go through a rebuild.